hey, I didn't even know that's a possibility that I could still be my own boss and go sell and make not just a good living, you could make a lot of money. Like we're talking, you could make a couple $100,000.
Or more, yeah.
Oh, easily, yeah. And so people, when they realize how much money you can make selling stuff in the dental industry, if you're good, and there's a lot to being good. I mean, this is a profession. But how would I go about that, Paige? Let's say, how do I go out and contact people? Do I go through someone like you who has a bazillion relationships with like heavy hitters of the industry? Or would I go on my own? How would I build myself as an independent person? How do I establish those relationships with people who's, manufacturers who have products to sell? How do we go about that? Hey, everybody, I'm Ken Newhouse, and I'm going to welcome you to the Get Clients Now podcast, the show where high-growth consultants and professionals come to access the newest and most effective methods and systems for online marketing, advanced sales and persuasive communication strategies, and automated marketing funnels. And if you're wondering if the Get Clients Now podcast can help you get more high-value clients, enjoy more sales, build a massive tribe, and make more money, you're absolutely going to love this show.
Newhouse's work completely blows everything else that we've ever done with Google out of the water.
I have been looking for a way to grow my presence online, and what I've viewed from Newhouse's work was something that certainly is faster than anything I've seen before.
He says he's going to do something and he does it. He does it in the time frame that he says he's going to do it in. It's exciting when you talk about the results that you're going to get, and you can believe his word because he follows it up with action.
The Newhouse is direct, he's to the point, he tells you what's on his mind, and he backs his words up. From what I know now, from working with him, he's passionate about his work, and he backs it up 100%.
What I like best is you offer something that no one else has out there, which is a pretty comprehensive approach about marketing a system.
If somebody asks me, should they use Newhouse's team? Absolutely, because you're going to get the important information that you need very, very quickly.
On the internet, on the different marketing techniques, I've never experienced anything like this.
I would definitely recommend Ken Newhouse for someone who's serious about growing their business. I think that your results based on the numbers would at least double the sales in a very short time frame.
Hey everybody, Ken Newhouse here from KenNewhouse.com, and I want to welcome you back to the Get Clients Now podcast, where the one-size-fits-all marketing model is dumb, the client-centric business model is king, and leading experts share strategies and methods that you can use to accelerate brand acceptance, skyrocket your significance in the marketplace, and elevate your status so you can build your tribe with certainty. This is episode number 358 of the Get Clients Now podcast, and on today's show, I'm going to be talking with Paige Mead, the CEO and founder of Paige Mead Recruiting, which is located up in Seattle, Washington. Paige is also the author of an amazing book titled The Chocolate Room, which before the pandemic was doing very, very well on Amazon, but with so many people losing their businesses and losing their jobs, book sales have literally exploded over the last couple of months. Now, truth be told, the interview that you're going to hear today was recorded back in early March of 2020, right about the time everything was starting to shut down and people were first starting to lose their jobs. And while this was an amazing interview, literally this interview was packed with actionable information that you can use to get that dream job in the dental industry. And certainly if your company took a hit, you're going to find actionable advice on things you can do like right now to get it going again. And having said that, I made the decision to hold off on airing the interview with Paige because there was just too much up in the air and there were so many unknowns when the pandemic started. And so when we did the interview, I just didn't feel like the timing was right to air the show. But now that we seem to have turned the corner, states are starting to open back up for the most part, at least the red states. Hello, Democratic governors. It's unfair to the people what you guys are doing to them. But having said that, people are going back to work, people are starting to spend money, and there is a ton of pent-up demand. And companies, here's the great news, guys, companies are starting to hire again. And in my opinion, now is the right time to air this interview with Paige. So I'm going to actually get to the interview in just a minute, but I want to actually let you know that for the next several weeks, I'm going to be giving away a copy of my book, How to Make Your Small Business Profitable Again. And I'm giving it away 100% free. No shipping. I don't even want your email address. This book, by the way, is $29.97 on Amazon. But right now, for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to let you download the digital version, totally free, no shipping. So this is not a free book and you pay the shipping kind of deal. This is, hey, you can download the book 100% free. I don't even want your email address, right? I just want to help. Now, this is the first edition of the book. The book was published back in 2018. So there's nothing in the book about how to recover from the coronavirus pandemic. But having said that, there's a ton of valuable information in here. I've used this information myself to make tons and tons of money over my career. My clients have used it. My members have used it. you can use it now. It's applicable right now. Now, the second edition, I've gone back and I'm starting to add some things that are relevant to the coronavirus, so that'll be updated. But this particular version is totally relevant and will help you get your business back up and running as quickly as possible. And so, like I said, for the next several weeks, I want to show my appreciation to the members, first of all, of the Get Clients Now Nation, and to you, my listeners and fans. And I want to do that again by giving you a free copy of the book, no strings attached. And like I said, no email required. You can simply go to my website, click on the link, and you'll have instant access to the digital copy of the book, How to Make Your Small Business Profitable Again. Now, the link where you can actually download the book is going to be listed in the show notes on this episode's page on my website at kennewhouse.com. So to download the book, make this easy for you. You go to kennewhouse.com, and at the top of the page, you're going to see a link in the menu for the Get Clients Now podcast. The link will actually say podcast. And when you hover over that link, you're going to see a little drop-down submenu that says recent episodes. Click on that link, which will take you to the page of all my recent episodes. And at the top of the page, you'll see some backstory about myself, some information about my accident. There's a hyperlink at the top of that page where it says, hey, jump to the bottom where the recent episodes are. You can either click that link and immediately jump down to the bottom of the screen, or you can just scroll down where you're going to find a picture, a page, and a link for this episode, which is episode number 358. And once you click on that link, the link for this particular episode, you'll find the link where you can download the book, How to Make Your Small Business Profitable Again, in the show notes on that particular page. Now, if on the other hand, you're feeling very generous, you can go to Amazon.com and you can actually pay $30 for the book, your choice. I'm going to leave that up to your best judgment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read Paige's bio, and once I've done that, we'll go ahead and start the interview. As an ambassador to the dental industry, Paige Mead serves candidates and clients with an unparalleled level of personal interaction. By understanding the client's business and the candidate's story, she's able to connect them with precision. Paige is committed to her candidates and clients' successful futures, and I have to say she's one of the most well-known, most respected, most in-demand recruiters in the dental industry. So if you guys are ready to start the interview with Paige Mead, let's roll. Hey everybody, Ken Newhouse here, and we've got our special guest, just covered her bio in the introduction. We've got Paige Mead, author of just a really good book, really solid book. It's a really, it's got a great plan in it. Paige, on behalf of myself and the members of Get Clients Now Nation, I want to welcome you to the show. How you doing today?
Thank you, Ken. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good to have you. Hey, listen, we're in the midst of, obviously, depending on people that are listening to this, we're in the midst of World War Z, like the coronavirus pandemic. And while it's really hammering people, not, obviously their health is in jeopardy. That can be very scary. As a retired chiropractor and one of my undergraduate majors was in human biology. So I'm completely aware of all the things that are going on. My sister works in the ER. One of my nieces is a registered nurse. The other one is a nurse practitioner. The nurse practitioner isn't in practice, but the other two are ER nurses. So it's definitely front line. But at the same time, Paige, it's hurting a lot of people's pocketbooks. It's hurting their business. People that are employed are losing their jobs and stuff. So we're going to talk about your book today because it's a great book. And guys, whether you're hearing this and things have turned and things are looking up, which I think they will be very, very soon, a lot of promising treatments on the horizon. This is an opportunity for you guys to listen because I know a lot of you guys will be looking for a job. And if you're not looking for a job because you lost a job, you're looking for a better job, or you're looking for a job that can be really, really exciting and fulfilling. The dental industry is an awesome place to work. So Paige, with that, if you're ready, let's rock and roll and get this going.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So if you could, Paige, these are questions, the first two, and all the members of the nation know this. These are questions that I ask everybody. But if you could, you've written a really, really killer book. You got a really killer business. You're helping a lot of people find really those dream jobs that they love to get. But how did you get to the point where you are now? What brought you into the dental industry? I'm really not sure how long you've been in the dental industry, but you have a professional recruiting company. So if you could take 2 or 3 minutes or so, give us a backstory of what brought you to that point, how you built your successful business, and how you came about writing this book.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you. I've actually been recruiting for a little over 20 years, and I started in the staffing industry. So if anybody knows what that is, it's basically companies who need temporary employees. So it's a very high-paced or fast-paced industry with a lot of burnout, actually. But I enjoyed it. It was wild. It gave me a chance to really see a lot of industries and to kind of play here and there and figure out where my most biggest enjoyment was, really. And then if you fast forward, which you kind of have to do, I kind of tripped over the dental industry. I had a very good friend, colleague from when I was in staffing, came out of the financial services segment, and he actually had gotten a job with Burkhart Dental Supply. And I had taken some time off with my husband. We'd had a couple of children.
Oh, good.
And it was just that time to decide whether I wanted to look back. So I called him. Hey, where are you? What are you doing? And he said, I'm at Burkhart. What is that? He said, dental supply. I said, you mean like dental floss and toothbrushes and things? Because, I never thought about it before. And he said, yeah, you ought to take a look at it. So I'm summarizing, but basically I came on board with the company at a time when they didn't have a very significant human resources department. It was just that time in the industry where we were going from, we don't need to recruit, people find us, and, wait a second, where is everybody? And so I literally got to play and build them a recruiting program. I got to learn all about dentistry, which I never even thought I was going to want to. And I had a chance to meet the industry from the top down. So just these tremendous business leaders and people who had put together this space that you really don't know about unless you grow up in a family with dentists or you're around it all the time. But then all of a sudden you're standing in the middle of it and it's just huge. And I found out I loved these people. And then what was even weirder was I actually loved what was going on in dentistry. And I just didn't know any of those things before. So, fast forward again, I spent about 8 years with Burkhart, and I think of it as my graduate business education because as a family-owned company in their 6th generation and their first female president, I just had experiences you don't get to make up, and then realized it was time to do something on my own. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do because I'd been in the industry. I knew what the challenges were. I had some very good friends saying, go, we need this, do this. And so I jumped out the window, so to speak, and launched Paige Mead Recruiting.
It's hard to keep an entrepreneur, a person with that true entrepreneurial spirit. I appreciate what you said about that being in a graduate degree because most people would not look at it that way. But I actually knew people who went to work, actually, and I can't recall who it is. These are very famous, very wealthy, very well-known individuals who are in marketing and advertising now. A couple of them I think are probably not alive anymore, but they actually took jobs after they were very, very wealthy, but they wanted to start a business in another industry. So they took a low-level job and worked their way up over the period of a couple of years so they could learn as much as they could about it. Then they quit that. And then they dove back in from the entrepreneurial side and they cleaned house. One of them was a restaurateur. And I think it might have been the guys who started Einstein Bagel Company, Einstein and Noah Bagel Company. I think it was the owner or owners or one of the two is one of the guys I'm thinking of. But let me ask you this, Paige. This is another question I love to ask. And then we're going to dive into the topic today, talk about your book and some of the other things you're doing. But has there been an individual, you mentioned your friend who, said, hey, come work at Burkhart. And Burkhart, by the way, is a great company. Was there any individual maybe growing up or anyone that inspired you or encouraged you that's, that was like, hey, Paige, you can do this on your own. You can run your own business. Somebody there that really believed in you or supported you, or was there a book? I have to admit, this is a somewhat selfish question because from time to time, someone will drop the name of a really good book that I haven't read. I'm an avid reader, read a couple of books a week. A good week, I'll knock out 3. Any books, any people, anything that comes to mind as far as somebody who inspired you to go ahead and go into business for yourself and be the entrepreneur that you are today?
Well, the answer is yes and no. On the one hand, I didn't come from a family of business owners or business builders, but I was always a little bit out of a fish out of water in my own family. And I tend to be kind of a stubborn, go ahead, I dare you tell me you can't do it kind of a person. But then when you look at just at life in general, and when I stand back and look at the picture, I have an amazing husband who is the most incredible fan ever.
That's great.
And I'm just a rock solid human. So you get to those up and down scary places, and he's just constant. I have to say he's definitely a big fan. But then, like you mentioned, the friend who called me over into Burkhart, his name's Ken Scott. He's in the front of the book, and I thank him for it. Just people who believed in me and said, come on over, jump into the school I'm playing in. And then I would definitely say there is one more person who was very inspiring to me is Jeff Denny, another guy in the industry who honestly is just opening his own search firm as well. But he was a huge, huge part of my, all right, I'm just going to go do it. And he cheered me on all the way. So very, very dear friend and great support. And that's probably just the small list. So yeah, there are tons of people who I would call as part of my team on this, at least in the cheering section.
Now, my background's very similar. You and I have so many things in common. It's kind of strange, but I was in the U.S. military and the United States Air Force. And other than that, I am forever unemployable because of the entrepreneurial spirit in me. I just got to do things my way. And if I make a mistake, dang it, it's my mistake. I made the mistake, but it's just ingrained in me. So the whole idea of having a job. And I think if I did have a job, the kind of job I would have to have, and this is one of my questions I'll ask you later, is a sales job, or maybe, I was in control of everything as much as possible. And I don't even know if that's possible because I'm not really familiar with this room. And also you said, I'm the kind of person that, tell me I can't do something, dare me I can't do it. And that's actually one of the things that motivates me more than anything else is when somebody says, you can't do that. And if it's something I want to do, I'll be like, okay, well, thanks for the motivation. I needed that. So Paige, my first question, and the title of your book, I'm going to read it because I want to make sure I get this right, is The Chocolate Room, Exploring the Dental Industry is Your Next Sales Career Destination. That's the name of the book. And so my first question is, how in the world did you come up with the name, The Chocolate Room? I think people are going to want to know that.
Yeah, well, it definitely wasn't the first thing that I was thinking about, but dentistry is just a wild and crazy space to me. It's not only a place I never thought I would be interested in, but I didn't even know about it. And so there are times, I've got plenty of people in my life who have nothing to do with dentistry. And if I tell them what I do and where I do it, it's such a niche focus that it's kind of hard to explain it to them. That's exactly what was happening. I was trying to explain to a friend of mine who is not from dental what exactly I was writing about. And I started to tell her a story that I actually refer to a little bit in the book later, but it was, it was intended to be, oh, well, this place is just so cool. And you haven't seen it before. And I realized, ooh, there's something else I want to say. And it just kind of spilled out. And you remember that scene if you're my age or if you were born in the 70s, when Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder came out. And that movie was just, man, everybody heard about it. The kids in the neighborhood, we're all running home. We're going to watch it tonight. And there's that one scene in the beginning where they step into this kind of park-like atmosphere, but it's really a room in the chocolate factory. Yeah. And Wonka refers to it as the chocolate room. But what it is, as the camera pans around, is every kind of candy you could possibly think of, and everything you touch, you're supposed to be able to eat it. And so here I am. I found myself explaining to this friend who wasn't in dental that this is how the industry looks to me. It looks like the chocolate room. And I saw her face get big, and I thought, yes, that's exactly how I feel about it, which is it's so weird to geek out about something like this, but it's exactly how I see it. So then all of a sudden there wasn't another title for the book. It just fit.
You might think it's weird, but Paige, I got to tell you, I work with a lot of very, very successful entrepreneurs. I don't have a lot of clients because I limit the number of people that I work with, but I've worked with a lot of people over time. And I have to tell you, the people that do the best, the people that are the most successful, the people that serve their clients or their customers or the patients the best, their tribe, if you will, absolutely love them, are the people who geek out and really love what they do. So that is another bonus for you. That's just a really good thing to have. I mean, think about this. Who wants to create a business, or whether you're creating a job for yourself, which unfortunately some dentists do, they don't have the entrepreneurial gene, they just create a job for themselves. But who wants to create a job or a business that you hate going to, that you're not passionate about, that you don't wake up every day excited? I mean, I get to talk to all these cool people, a whole bunch of people every week. And while they're not all clients of mine, a lot of them, I just love to hear stories. And I love to hear how people are succeeding, how they're helping other people. That encourages me and lifts me up. And this is a time where, I need that right now. I think we all need that to a degree, is to be encouraging to one another. We're going to talk about working in the dental industry. So the first thing I want to ask you, and I know you're passionate about it, is what is so great about the dental industry? Why would a person, let's say they're working as a salesperson, as a sales professional in another industry, why would they even consider, and if you want to geek out, it's okay. Why would they consider the dental industry? Because, quite honestly, half the people that go to the dentist are terrified. Dental fear is real. But we're looking at this from a whole different perspective. We're looking about an industry that really it's a lot of fun to work in this industry. There's a lot of activity. It's busy, busy, busy. Mm-hmm. And it's never boring. And there's a lot of stuff going on. So why, in your estimation, would a person, and you talk about this in the book quite a bit, but what's so great about the dental industry?
I love that question. It's always just a little bit different in my head too, every time I think about it. And, to that end, I'm definitely going to answer this question, but I think the part about having a role that you wake up excited to go to is not something that's an accident. You have to be willing to investigate options and try different things. It's the only way you figure out what's exciting that you love to do. And I'm minimizing a little bit, but I think that leads into why dental. Because if you have been the kind of person who has looked around or who has opened your mind to different options and you stumble on dental, I think there are a whole lot of pieces that make it better than other places. And you kind of have some of those other experiences to know it. As a sales professional in a healthcare field, dental is great for some pretty obvious reasons. We are still not driven by insurance. And because of that, we have a lot of freedom. I don't know if this is a nice thing to say, but if I had my way, I would have insurance go away and stay out of dental, because there are pieces here you can't get anywhere else, and they're worth holding on to. And just the freedom of choice, whether it's, choosing the doctor you want to spend your time with and build a lifelong relationship with them, or whether it's pick what you're going to buy and work on in your practice, pick which equipment you want and how you want to build a practice around caring for people. I think there's just freedom everywhere you look. And then you have to add to that, and again, this is something I think I became aware of because I have been in other industries. We've got pioneers here. That's how I would describe most of the business leaders in our industry, whether you're looking at it from the company side, manufacturing, distribution, or whether you're looking at from the practice side. I see this commonality among the leaders, just this kind of pioneering spirit. There's a lot of people here who will say, tell me I can't do it. And so to a degree, I feel like I'm in my crowd sometimes. And to another degree, there's no end to that energy. So it's not like it's a perfect place. And it's certainly not like it isn't challenged or threatened by outside influences. But I do still think we have a bit of a kind of a haven and a place where you can practice healthcare and be with people that you just don't have the same opportunities in other spaces.
Yeah, I've always seen, being a retired chiropractor, and, you mentioned that you would like it to all be cash. I would as well. In fact, the last 9 years that I practiced, all of my clinics, and I had 6 when I retired, employees and everything else, this is one of those things where people said, you can't do that. It's never going to work. You're going to go bankrupt. But I went 100% cash. I hated insurance because my whole thought was, hey, listen, my relationships with my patient, I don't want somebody, and, not to knock somebody with just a high school education, because a couple of the most successful, wealthiest people I've ever known in my life, mean old Dan Kennedy is one, and my father-in-law, who's now deceased, from Germany, is another. They had a high school education. In fact, Joe the German, I lovingly call him, I think went through the 8th grade, but he was worth, $15, $20 million by the time he died. So he was educated, just not in a formal way. But when I say this, my relationship was with my patient, and I really was offended at the idea of someone sitting behind a desk, looking at a computer screen, telling me what was quote unquote medically necessary for my patients when they hadn't seen my patient. They don't know my patient. They hadn't looked in their eyes. I mean, there's a lot that goes on when you're working with a patient. So that's one of the things that drew me to the dental industry, is that they have, much more so than the medical profession, and I've got some very good friends that are medical doctors, the dental profession, it's kind of a combination of both, in that with the dental industry, you're working very closely, intimately it's hands-on with your patients. So it's a lot more conversational. It's a lot more engaging. The doctors, if they're good with their patients. But yeah, I think being in cash would be great. And at the same time, I do think there is tremendous opportunity. So if a person's and you cover this again in the book, but if a person is considering hey, I'm gonna pursue. Paige has got me excited. I'm gonna get her book. I'm gonna read it, which you guys should get her book and read it. It's a good book, especially if you're looking for an exciting career. She's the person who can lead you there. But is there a plan? Is there a step-by-step process that person should take before they just start the shotgun approach of applying for a job? And by the way, if I say something that doesn't make sense about getting a job, it's because I've never had one. So I don't know if I'm using the right language. It's like, if I use chiropractic language, trying to talking to a medical doctor, they'd be like, what are you talking about? So thankfully I've been involved and worked in all the different industries. So I guess it gives me a unique position. But did I ask that question like in a way that makes sense? Is there a plan, or is there a process a person should go through before they just the shotgun of, I'm going to apply here, I'm going to apply there, I'm going to apply there?
Yeah, there is. I think it's important to note that my specialty is the sales arena, the professional sales arena in healthcare. And so really that is who the book is aimed at. But I think there's a lot of pretty standard steps that you can apply to any job search. But specifically, I'm talking to salespeople in the book who maybe they've been in dental their whole life, but they've had their nose to the grindstone, so they don't have the benefit of knowing what's new and different and who's come in there. Or maybe they've been in healthcare or some other selling profession, and they just don't know where to go next. I think once you get used to the idea that dentistry is a pretty cool place, then you can look around and see that there are personalities to all these companies. If you make the mistake of just shotgun, send your resume everywhere and you don't do your homework first, well, first I think you're going to waste a lot of time and a lot of energy. But if you start on the other side and really survey the landscape and realize that you can get a lot of information about these companies, I think the plan starts to unroll for you. You figure out what it is you want to do. You figure out where you are right now, and then you look at your choices, really. And I think this is something that I tell everybody. We're not in the economy we used to be in, where people don't have a choice about where they work. Sometimes it still feels that way, and folks feel like they're not in a position of power when they're looking, but we have so much information at our fingertips. We really, really do. And we have people around us that know what's going on. In this industry, there are stories, there's history, there's plenty of reason to take a look at a company and decide if it's a good match for you, because there's just enough information there to figure it out. And so I think what I try to do in the book is help people actually take those steps. Well, what does it mean to get to know the company? What does it mean to figure out what their culture is? And why should I even care? That stuff I think can be broken down and made into smaller bites, and it changes the experience of looking for work, because you're looking for something that's much more significant. It could do much more for you. I'm not sure if I answered that question.
No, you did great. You did great. I just want to follow that up. I mean, I do have the advantage of, number one, the beautiful and talented Lisa worked as a manufacturer's rep. She was a dealer rep before that, which may be language that most people listening, well, I would say probably half the people listening understand, because there are a ton, like a bazillion dentists that listen to this show and are members of the nation. But we have a lot of consultants that sell to dentists that listen to this. And we just have people who are just regular business people or consultants that don't sell to dentists at all. We also have chiropractors who listen. And so with respect to that, talk about, let's just pretend for a second that I'm the guy looking for a job. And let's say, because a good friend of mine actually he's a pharmaceutical rep in the medical industry. I go to church with him, and he sells a cancer drug. It's a type of chemotherapy, and it's pretty promising, but seems kind of depressing to work in that particular field. But if he was going to come from that, or I was going to come from that into this, how would I know what to investigate? What resource would I use, I guess is my question, to figure out what different sales career opportunities were available? If I don't know that much about dentistry, I mean, you have capital equipment, you've got local dealers you could sell for, you got manufacturers. I mean, could you kind of walk us through that process and talk about that for just a few minutes?
Sure, absolutely. I think it kind of starts with, if you can imagine yourself standing in a dental office, everything in a 360-degree circle, nailed to the floor otherwise, is sold by somebody in our industry. So whether it's that, cool piece of imaging machinery that you don't know what it's called in the corner, but it goes around your head and gives this great picture, it's something like that. Or even if it's the chairs or the lights or the cabinetry, there is something for everybody that you could get excited about selling. And every product has a different type of sales process, and it has a different company that's creating it. There's nitty gritty in every little thing. So first you have to acknowledge that you've got choices and then start pulling them apart one at a time. All right, well, who are all the companies that make this particular thing? And what are my choices there? Which one's this one like, that one like? I think that's the point, is it's really worth your time to investigate. So for instance, your friend who's selling pharmaceuticals, I get a lot of people from different healthcare verticals say, okay, well, what can I do over there? Pharma is very, very insurance driven. So there are a ton of reasons to come over and go, oh my gosh, that's okay. I can sell something and it's not going to be shelved because insurance decided not to carry it tomorrow. It's a different existence. And, the science is still a huge part of what we're doing, and the medical advancements are there left and right. We're just not controlled by outside forces so often that, we can't do what we want to do. So, for somebody who's just trying to figure out where to jump in, I have made it my purpose to have information to people that they can actually do something with. It's one of the big reasons I am in my business, because I believe information is power.
Right.
And so I would absolutely say, well, get connected to me. That's one of the places. And I have an ongoing growing network of other recruiters in our space as well, who see different aspects and angles of the industry. There's too much fun stuff to think about and look at to not connect with someone and get help and listen to what they have to say.
You talked about different sales styles. There has to be more than a person who's just like me, a real go-getter, somebody who's out there really going for it. What is a hunter, so to speak? Because I know some people can do really well at sales and they're introverts, which is kind of counterintuitive, but introverted people oftentimes will be like the most successful entrepreneurs or the most successful salespeople. So you don't have to be gung-ho, loud, and in your face to do well at selling. You could be rather introverted. So if you could talk about the different styles of selling and the different kind of personalities, I guess, people have, and how that'll work in dentistry.
Absolutely. Sales is a professional career that takes a lot of skill. And so that's, one of the first things to overcome for people is that selling is just sales. It's not, not a big deal. You have to practice your craft. You have to study. You have to update yourself. There are always different selling philosophies out there, but it is not an accidental career by any stretch of the imagination. You have to be smart and you have to be very articulate. You don't have to be an extrovert, though, like you're saying. And I think when it comes back to selling style, it's important for people to figure out who they are naturally. So every selling position involves some amount of hunting, and every salesperson hunts throughout their career. And by hunting, I mean it exactly as it sounds. You have to go looking for the business opportunity. You cannot wait for it to come to you. But whether you're an introvert or an extrovert has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how much excitement and energy you get for the hunt. So, the flip side of that is the account management and relationship building side. And you need both of those things, but some items are better wired for more of one than the other. So to say...
Give us an example.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So the easiest example I can pull from is if we're looking at the industry, we've got distributors and we've got manufacturers. If you're the company that makes the product, you're the manufacturer. If you're the distributor, you get to lay out all the choices in front of the client. While not every company sells through distribution, many, many do. And it's a very different type of salesperson who occupies the distribution role from one who occupies the role with the manufacturer. I would say if you really like that hunt, and if that's where you get your energy from and that's exciting for you, then the manufacturing side of the industry might be a better fit because it just tends to be more of the activity that's involved with those. Whereas if you're a rep and you work at a distributor, you spend more time with your client. There's more of a managing relationship piece that goes on there. And again, they're not exclusive of each other. It's just one is a little more one way than the other. So it starts by figuring out, where do I get my excitement? Am I excited by the hunt and the pace? Or am I excited because I get to see my client every couple of weeks and I want to? And that matters. And it's about how you're wired, really.
So one of the things I want to ask you, and this just popped into my head, it's one of the questions I wrote down. You wrote down, in addition to what you just said, but you also mentioned that you could, quote unquote, carry an independent sales bag.
I personally think we all ought to be thinking like an independent.
Okay.
When somebody is talking about what's in their bag, they're literally referring to what are the products that they can sell? What do they have to choose from? Most reps sell for one company unless they're with a distributor, but you'll be limited by that company and the offerings that company pull together
right.
in one bag. If you're a distributor, you have a whole lot of choice in what you can offer to your clients. But when you just stand back and you look at what the choices are for each rep personally, I think we fall into the trap of thinking, well, I'm an employee, I'm going to represent this company, or I'm going to go out on my own and do all the scary stuff and be an independent. What that means is I don't work for just one company. I decide, within the limits of products being compatible with each other, I decide what I want to sell. I assemble a bag, an option for clients, and I sell those pieces. So independence gives you a little more risk, generally speaking, because you're not a W-2 employee for one company.
So that would be like 100% commission sales job then, right?
It's exactly right. But if I choose to do that, not only are my commission potentials higher, but I write the contracts with these companies. I make the decisions for myself about what they're going to be. And yes, there's more risk. There's no floor under me that's going to catch me if I fall. I'm not working for one particular company, but I think you can look around right now and see there's no real safety net under just about any position. And if you are in sales as a career, you are open to and interested in taking on risk. So I just think people ought to think that way.
That's you brought up a really good point, and this is why, obviously there are huge needs for people to be employed, for companies to have employees. I had over 30 employees for a long time, and I said, hey, listen, I'm burnt out on babysitting adults. For me personally, I outsource to vendors who are self-employed and highly accountable. And if they want to keep my business, they do a great job. I love that relationship. But I hear so many times say, listen, I could never work for myself because I need the security of a job. And I got news for you. If the last 2 weeks hasn't opened your eyes to the fact there is no job security, maybe perceived job security, but ultimately you're at just as much risk working for someone as an employee as you are carrying your independent sales bag, like Paige just said. So if a person wanted to do that, how do they go about? Again, I'll make myself the person. So let's say that I'm like, okay, well, I have a relationship with all these dentists and I could convince them of a particular product if one came to mind, and I would want it to be something very expensive so that I could make a lot of money with little effort based on the relationship of trust I have with my clients. And this is obviously not something I'm intending on doing. This is a what if scenario. How would I go about starting? Because I know there are a lot of people who are entrepreneurial who listen to this who are like, I got to do something different. Hey, I didn't even know that's a possibility that I could still be my own boss and go sell and make not just a good living, you could make a lot of money. Like we're talking, you could make a couple $100,000.
Or more. Yeah.
Oh, easily. Yeah. And so people, when they realize how much money you can make selling stuff in the dental industry, if you're good, and there's a lot to being good. This is a profession. But how would I go about that, Paige? Let's say, how do I go out and contact people? Do I go through someone like you who has a bazillion relationships with like heavy hitters of the industry? Or would I go on my own? How would I build myself as an independent person? How do I establish those relationships with people who's, manufacturers who have products to sell? How do we go about that?
Great question. Before I answer it really directly, I want to point out that whether or not a person decides to work for a company or build their own independent selling business for themselves, that is also about how we're wired. Some people do really well without getting the list of to-dos every day. They're self-driven, they have business acumen, they know what direction they want to go, and they can put that stuff together. Not everyone is wired like that. Some outstanding sales professionals don't want to wake up and plan it all out. They just want to know where they're going, build their business for their company, and that is great. There's not a bad way to do it. You have to figure out who you are, and you have to know how you're wired and which one is the right fit for you. When I say we should all be thinking like independents, it goes back to that original piece that you were talking about. Risk is everywhere. So you need to think about yourself as a business person, whether you're working for a company or not. Now, if you decide that you want to go and build an independent sales practice for yourself, there are a number of different ways to get started. It's not just one. If you've got relationships with companies and you can find out if they hire independent reps, most do in certain areas. So sometimes it's just asking the questions of the companies that interest you. There are definitely recruiters who specialize in certain types of positions. We don't have one yet in dental that just specializes in independent reps. But I will tell you it's coming. And I will tell you that one of the places you can look for those types of roles is companies that are coming in and launching in the US for the first time. It's expensive to set up shop here. So it is a common request I will get from clients out of country. Hey, what would it look like if we just wanted to hire some reps there? We're not ready to open up our corporate offices yet. So what does that look like? And that's where I hear about most of the independent positions that I hear about.
Well, obviously, to me, it seems logical that the first thing that people want to do is call you to find out more about this.
Mm-hmm.
But once they've done that, or let's say they can't get a hold of you or whatever, I mean, I know you're busy. I know you're good about returning calls and emails and things like that. But for whatever reason, just devil's advocate. Well, I don't want to say that. I'm a devout Christian. Let's just say something comes up where they can't get a hold of you. Is there a resource where they could locate these opportunities or these companies, or pretty much they should probably just give you or another recruiter, preferably you? I mean, I know and trust you for this process. If they were thinking about this opportunity, how do they do that?
Well, I need you I need to be clear that this is something that's growing and evolving. Right now, independent reps are just independent. They don't tend to get together on a lot of things. Everybody's got to figure out their own project. That's part of it. But in my searches for different recruiters who specialize in things, which is something I'm doing all the time, I just have yet to find one in dental specifically pulling this all together. So if somebody wants to pursue this or wants to look into it further, it's about networking and starting conversations. I am very difficult to get a hold of by phone. In fact, all my candidates know they can text me. I'm a much better responder there, but I lost the ability to just pick up the phone and call people years back. So, and that's the way everybody's world is right now. But right. You find some people who are interested in the subject, and everybody works together to find the information. That's how you pull this together. It's not a fixed system yet. So if you're interested in being an independent rep, connect with me, connect with other recruiters, connect with companies directly and seek out the information. Ask the questions. Everybody knows somebody who can get you a little bit closer to what you're after. And in the meantime, I'll be continuing to work on pulling that avenue together for everyone so it isn't known.
All right. Well, my entrepreneurial wheels are turning, and this was unplanned. And forgive me if you will, but I want to make a suggestion, and you can take it or leave it. But I think you're sitting on a potential gold mine because you have real value to offer. So you could put together an information product, a training. So have a limited number of people attend the training. You do it online, put it together, have people go through the training. And then at that point, you now have created an information product that could be sold into perpetuity. And from time to time, you update it, but with minimal effort. So if somebody hits your website, PaigeMeadRecruiting.com, they might see a tab on your homepage that says, interested in being an independent sales rep? Click here for more information. They could download a report, watch a video, whatever. And then from there, you lead them in a funnel into this program that you've created. And you don't have to manage them hands-on. The point of managing them hands-on is when they've ascended up your value ladder to the point of, instead of paying you $1,000, $997 for this program, which really is way too underpriced as far as really looking at the value. If somebody said to an individual who's looking for a job and considering this, hey, give me $1,000 and I'm going to give you the keys that are going to allow you to go out and start your own business show you all the ropes, tell you who to talk to, give you the connections and everything else, that's a no-brainer sale. So they would do that. But the people that you would actually end up investing time to talk with are the people who are paying you a lot more money, which could be from the manufacturer side and the side of people who are looking for. So just a thought I had with respect to that.
Dancing around in my brain because all that's in there too. I'd love to have that conversation with you more offline.
Sure, yeah, we can do that. But that's what I do is I help people do that. But anytime, and it doesn't happen often, but when it does, when the light comes on, I'm like, wow, she's got a great opportunity or he's got a great opportunity. And I really think you do. I think the way you're describing this, and because I know the dental industry and you said there's no one else, this could be really good. So having said that, how about this? Depending on when you're listening to this, we're either still dealing with the coronavirus and the loss of jobs. And if you've lost your job, listen, I feel for you. I went through many years ago, was hit head on by a dump truck. It bankrupted me. It literally did. I was a young doctor, just bought 2 clinics and a house from another doctor. I'm in a medically induced coma, flown by a helicopter. I've had 18 surgeries. Talk about having the rug pulled out from under you. I feel for you if you're going through this. And listen, if you're a business owner, this could look really scary, but keep your chin up, guys. We're going to get through this. It's going to turn around and there is light at the end of the tunnel. I promise you it's going to happen. We talked about this a little before, Paige, before the call started. Any specific suggestions you might give people? Like one of the things I tell people to do, maybe you're not able to, like dentists, I'm sending out emails. Listen, your patients aren't coming in right now. Send them encouraging emails. Let them know you're there. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care. This is going to make them feel better. And you're touching. The relationship is still being kept alive. Anything you can suggest to people who might be considering moving into dental, or maybe they lost their job or they're going to be looking for a job, any steps you can recommend that they could be working on now in the process to get ready so when there's traction, they can hit the ground and take off fast?
Yes. First, thank you for that question. I appreciate hearing somebody else with that energy behind that point, because I agree with you 100%. This is very temporary. It's painful. That doesn't make it not important or anything else. But it is temporary. And when this clears, when the skies clear, things are going to take off like a rocket. So I have really just consigned myself to, like everybody else, this self-isolation piece. But now's the time to fill your brain with good learning, whether it's a book you've been putting off or whether it's your own personal digging in and plowing into emotional, whatever kind of work has been on your list of to-dos, get it right in front of you right now, because now is definitely a time to grow professionally through the middle of all this pain and scary stuff. So, that's where I am with candidates right now. Do I know when this is going to wrap up? No, but I am not changing course for business. We'll be there to encourage clients, and I'll be there to encourage my candidates. This is temporary. Business of growing.
Words have meanings. If we look at the dictionary, the word professional has a meaning. And so as a professional, you can work on making yourself more valuable to the marketplace. If you're not working, if they've got you at home, working from home or whatever, invest in yourself or help other people. Do what you can to help other people. Continue to have a spirit of service, and that will help you when we start to get traction again. And we're going to get it faster than people think we really are. You got time for a couple more questions?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. How do you help people find their dream job? Looking for a dream job in dental. Let's say that I've been a salesperson somewhere else, and I'm excited by what I've heard. I'm excited. I read your book. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I can do this. I want to do this. Paige has got me all motivated. What's the process? How do you help me land that dream job? Because I know you're doing it for a lot of people.
Sure. Well, there's 2 first steps. One, figure it out for yourself in terms of what it is that you want. Forgive me, that kind of came out wrong. But I have a lot of people who come to me and say, can you help me get where I want to go? Well, yeah. The next question is, where do you want to go? Oh, I don't know. That's a really common answer. But if you don't have any idea what your future finish lines are or the goals you're headed toward, if you don't know what they are, then I'm not going to be able to do anything to help you. So the first thing is take the time, and maybe it's right now, in all of this messy stuff, take the time to figure out where you want to go. And this is not a cheesy question like, where do I want to be in 5 years or 10 years? This is literally when you look at your career and you see the finish line, where is it? What is it? What are you doing? It can be a simple answer. Well, I want to make this much money and I want to be able to go this direction. Fine. If that's what your finish line looks like, it doesn't have to be that developed out, but have one. So if you don't know where you want to go, figure that part out first. And then in terms of finding your dream job, you just have to be willing to experiment and discover. I've got a little assignment, my website, on the candidate resources page. I call it my shortlist assignment. It's just a company from every different segment of business in the dental industry. Most people, like I said, even those people who have had their whole careers here, don't know what all the options are. So start by just taking a look at your options.
How do we find it? What's the name? What page is that? What's the URL? How do we find that page?
It's on my website, paigemeadrecruiting.com. The tab is candidate resources.
Okay.
Click on the tab, you'll see a downloadable assignment called the shortlist. That's it. And all I say to candidates is, all right, this is new space to you, whether it is or it isn't. Just get on the websites for any of the companies on this list and look at what they sell. And it blows people's minds. Whoa, that wasn't there the last time that I, looked around. Or maybe it's their first look into dental and at least you can see some of the landscape. So it's not an all-inclusive thing. And they are not all my clients. This is just about giving people a picture of what's out there. So I would say open your eyes and look first.
So Paige, what's the one question today that I should have asked, but I didn't ask?
The question would be, what's the wildest, weirdest thing that's come out of writing the book that you didn't expect?
And what would the answer to that be?
The answer would be, I have had companies reach out to me and ask me about using it as training material for their new hires in the dental industry.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a fabulous opportunity. We're probably going to be rebranding the book for commercial use, so the cover will change when we do this, but it's in the works right now. And yeah, just the ability to share it with companies that have folks coming in from other spaces and have never been in dental before.
And you're getting paid for that, right? I hope. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because we're in business to make a profit on purpose. Yeah, we want to serve people, but we got to make a profit on purpose. That's how we keep employees and do what we do. Tell us the name of your book and where we can get it, including your website.
All right. Well, you can, my book is called The Chocolate Room, Exploring the Dental Industry as Your Next Sales Career Destination. And you can get it online at Amazon. You can also go to my website, paigemeadrecruiting.com, and buy it there. The website again is paigemeadrecruiting.com.
Spell it.
Yeah, PAIGEMEADRECRUiting.com.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you doing the show with me today. I had fun.
I did too. It was a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
I had a lot of fun. You're very welcome. You did great and gave a lot of good information. So anyway, looking forward to moving ahead with it. So anyway, we'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks, Paige. Yep. Bye-bye. Bye.
Our objective with this podcast is to help you and your business stand out in the marketplace by crystallizing your messaging, marketing, and communications. On behalf of the whole Ken Newhouse team, thanks for listening.